no. Have you been?
What's your language? What's your language? Are you trying to get us out?
Have you been to Tibet?
Excuse me, you people Chinese. The lady before did say so. I do believe I remember Ronda saying we're not against the Chinese people. I personally know many Chinese people. I'm not against any Chinese person, but I do believe the Chinese have an apology to make to the world community using sport as a cover for their genocide. Against the Tibetese people and the victimisation using the black penalty to harvest organs. That's all I know, mate.
He got the camera. Yeah. They're passionate about it.
Get those smarts. Go back to your rotten morality. You don't like it, do you?
Sadly, what I believe personally these political conflicts do, they distract our attention away from the real issue. The real issue that right now we have to make a decision whether we're going after a promised land, 1,000 years of peace.
And against the government, you might say you're against the communist government of China. Then what about Taiwan? What about Taiwan? They say they're Chinese. Do you remember Taiwan when the nationalists were in Shanghai and Mao Zedong and Zhou Enlai, the Prime Minister, told them to get out, the nationalists? And America is no friend of China. Remember that. America did some shocking things to the Chinese. The Americans bombed China with the Korean War. America is more an enemy, and now America says they love China. America used to call China Red China. Australia was the first country to recognise the Chinese government. We were the first. The Labour wouldn't remember all this. So we are not against China.
That's why we have the good president.
You are hurt. Like all these, if you are Chinese, you are hurt here. We are against you. We are not against you. We are against the
We don't say anything about Australian government.
We can get on
None of you are saying that.
We can see that system of kibbutz that's built the nation of Israel. That was an example. That's a sign of the wider work in collective harmony. When you have a principle that unites people, it's not political, it's an environment, a survival thing. You go beyond politics. You have to go beyond politics. You have to see yourself and your own responsibility. Will I support a system of kibbutz that replenishes the environment? Let's start with getting a moral law reform issue on the table. Saying that we need something that helps us live together in peace. All we know is divisive and destructive. Why not trial and error? That's a simple thing to ask. See how we start with this just recording.
The Chinese people never and they murdered, committed genocide against the Chinese people. We are not against China for China, but you know we're not against you, we're against the government. The government what it's doing. You may say it's illegal, no one's going to use it. But Tibet, you can't say to we're against the government, what they're doing, they're saying it's illegal. Well, if I flew that flag, the flag of Tibet, that is the Tibetan flag.
Why you flew Tibet flag? Why do you need a flag? Why the other presidents don't need a flag? We are Chinese flag. That's why we are China. China has one flag.
Because China says one China policy. We are China. But then what about the Chinese in Australia? What about the Chinese state here? What about the Chinese who fled the mainland? It's the Communist Party. You might say, well, you against the government.
Equivalent of any apprenticeship. People become ambassadors for the world beyond fossil fuels. Teach young people survival skills, how to treat one another with respect. What's going to happen to our country, I believe?
I know, I'm not going to tell your plan. Excuse me, Chinese people, I'm just going to explain it. Excuse me, could you trust me? I'm just saying, I have always said
that's the
Chinese people. What I'm saying, we know it's about you. I know what the Chinese flag represents. It represents the Chinese people. We were people that demonstrated the recognition of China. Now you are friendly with America. America is your worst enemy. Remember that. You must smile in San Francisco.
Everyone in the world is our friend, our Chinese friend, okay? We're not against anyone, but the people
against the Tibetans, though. You don't
we have
like the
answer for China. We're not threatening.
China was part of Tibet if you look back at the history.
Whether we boycott these Olympics, they send a clear message to the Chinese administration that no matter how effectively they keep their own people in the dark, the rest of the world is aware. What's going on and how they use the world to harvest their.
I don't believe in
Obviously, that's what happens. People are sentenced to death
You don't have to be Chinese. That is racist.
Why don't you go back
That is racist. So we are not Chinese. Chinese have been in Australia 150 years. Did you know that? How long the Chinese came here during the Qing Emperor. The Manchu. That's when the Chinese, 150 years when China was ruled by the Emperor. Remember that. And the Chinese people have never been ill-treated. But on this argument, we are saying to China, we don't agree with you. It's like you saying you don't agree with me. I don't come up and hit you. I don't pull the flag. I respect. I know what that flag represents. I don't rip the flag. I have a Chinese flag at home. I have the flag of Taiwan, the party, the nationalists, and I have the flag of the Chinese People's Republic. Why would I do that? I destroy my argument. And if you want to speak, if you want to say where we are wrong, you have that right. That's what
way you treat other people.
Sorry, I just explained to them they have a right, you have a right to speak, to say where we are wrong. That is what I'm saying to you. And not one hand will be spoken, because to do that we go against what we preach.
In China, if you flew this flag, you'd be arrested and detained because it's a threat against the Chinese government. Today there's a demonstration of some Chinese who are upset. Well, I'm sorry, China, but in this country we disagree with you, and we have that right under a democracy. Then the Chinese student said to me, "You are not Chinese." No, I'm not. I'm Australian. I'm born here. Then the Chinese student said to me, I said, "Then you're welcome to reply." That means to condemn what I'm saying. And he said, no. He said, "You are against the government of China." He means the Communist Party government of China, of Beijing.
That it's just an affront to have Chinese with their flaunting T-shirts, with the two hands joined, China and Tibet all one. Well, if you've got an aggressor and the other person's laying on the ground beaten up, I suppose they are one, in a sense, but that's not the proper way of running a country. As I said to the bloke before, probably a bit facetiously, that Tibet actually controlled China years ago, and possibly this could be a bit of revenge. It's taken about 400 years. Yeah. But those stooges and crooks and thugs that came here today trying to tell Australians that we're all one. We're not all one at all. And there's a lot of thinking Australians that are not going to be prepared to put up with that. I'm not a traditional person who walks in a march, but I know damn well that China's ambitions go way beyond Taiwan. They're in Taiwan. And as they get stronger, they've got a lot of little nations, just like America. They've accused America of being imperialists, and so they probably were. They've got little stations of influence all the way across to Africa, and they've bankrolled a few nations. In Darfur, they go along with the government there because they just want resources. So their main ambition is, you can't blame China for wanting to fight back against the imperialists that battled it into submission last century. There's no way you can do that. But like every country, once they get a bit of strength, well, they start putting the boot into others then. So, no, I just think today, I don't know who's paying those blokes, but one of them had a little tattoo on the back of his neck with the Navy written across there. It mightn't mean anything, but I would say they are paid by the Chinese government to do that, because, like, if they've come here as students, their main goal should be just to study, and they get a good welcome from anyone, and there's no hassles. But those people were quite aggressive, and I just say they should be condemned.